Hi there, this is Belker, and you're watching the first of 3 videos that I've put together with MODO to get designers introduced to 3D modeling with just enough information to get you started and walk away with a basic understanding. I've been using MODO for about 5 years now, and I have to say it has completely changed my life and my workflow as a designer. It took me 4 years at Art Center and many more years to get good at sketching and rendering. The use of computers and programs like Photoshop have added to the professional level of my work. But creative 3D modeling is the natural evolution of design, I think. The instant feedback of my ideas just opened up a whole new world of creativity. But there's also the hesitation of stopping something that works and feels natural and jumping into a new process. I totally understand. My intro for designers will hopefully open your mind and perhaps, if you choose to give it a try, make this a painless transition. To get started, I would like to just quickly touch on a few features that I need you to get familiar with. Just like Photoshop, you will realize that you will end up using a small portion of this complex and fantastic program. And I will promise you that you will be blown away with the results after using it for just a very short time. Alright, to get started, I loaded my model that you saw rendered in the introduction into the 3D viewport here. Let's start with the user interface, or UI. Very important. And I will just point out the parts that we really need to get you started. The menu bar on top here lets you, just like in any computer program, open, save, export, etc. Very basic stuff. Right below we have the tabs. These are different areas for specific tasks. For now, we will just focus on the model tab. On our left side here, we have the tools that let us create geometry. As soon as you click on one of the presets here, you will actually get a lot of extra information. On the right side, you have the scene information. Again, I will cover all that in more detail later. Top row has all the selection modes and modifiers. I will specifically talk about these when I start creating some geometry. Just quickly and for fun here, the presets. If you click on it, it will open the material libraries and all kinds of goodies show up. I call it the candy store, and it actually comes with MODO. One more thing before we move on, hit O. It shows you some viewing options for inactive meshes, for instance. Just go through it, play with it, and see what you like. At last, on the UI, you have a couple options to view your model. Go to the advanced OpenGL and check out reflections. Isn't that cool? Let's talk about navigation. On the top right here, we have symbols that can be actually activated with shortkeys, which I will encourage you to learn so that they become second nature and make it easy to move around. If you just rest your thumb on the Option key, you see you can rotate in the window. If you now just hit Shift and Option, will let you move around in the window, and Control Option will let you scale it, which you can also do with the wheel on your mouse. If you're lost and you end up in some corner here, just hit the A key and the model will be centered right smack back in the middle. Okay, we're now ready to actually create some geometry, and just a few things before we get started on doing so. You're here in your active working plane. You have your axis X, Y, and Z. Y is always up and down, and Z and X is pretty much the way you want to lay it out, and you find out quickly. I have nothing in my mesh layer right now, but as soon as I click on one of those preset items here, you see a window will pop up with all kinds of information that is of importance at some point. The only thing here, I have the segments all set at once, so I get a very simple cube. Cylinders is pretty good if you want to create something that needs to be round, but for now, let's just start with the cube. So activate the cube tool and move into your window. Hold your cursor down and pull it until you see that's about what I want. You let go. Then you connect with that little red cube in the center and you pull on that. And now this is very important. You have to hit the space bar to let go of that tool. So now you have, as you see, a basic cube. And before I get into editing my basic cube here, or my basic geometry, I will need to point out a couple more things that will be helpful understanding the order of meshes. My mesh here is in the mesh layer. That makes sense. And I can easily copy and paste it by hitting Command C and Command V, and that created a new item of the same thing. Now I can move that item wherever I want it. They are absolutely separate. If I like to move it into a different layer, that will come in handy when you do really complex things. All you have to do is just hit Command X, go up here into Add Items, create a new mesh layer, and hit Command V, and then now your item is in a separate layer, and you can turn things on and off by just clicking on that little eyeball here in the items list. So let's just work with one. And one more thing I like to do, I like to center my cube, and very easy process. You just move over to the left here and you have center selected. Because it's only one item in that layer, I don't really have to select it, but let's just go and do it. Double click, go here, center select, and you can either do all, which will place it dead straight in the center. Let's do that. You see, it's absolutely in the center. Hit Command Z to just go back, and let's just place it on the X axis. That is most important for me because now if I turn symmetry on, I turn it on X and I click just on one of the polygons here, you see they become active and I can edit them, modify, move them wherever I want to. And that is easily done by hitting one of those key tabs and one of those tabs. And these are also, you can see little W, E, and R. If you just hit those, then they let you do that the same way. So let's start with the move tool. You move it left to right, up and down. Because symmetry is on, both sides will work together. Just to make it more obvious what I'm doing here, I will turn symmetry off, hit the W key again, and just move it up and down. So that gives you a lot of flexibility. Same thing with the E key. Now I can rotate it and do whatever I want with it. Same with the R key. I can scale it now down. If you hit that little center circle here, it scales the overall proportions. Otherwise, the arms just do that particular axis. If I hit the shift bar, I get out of it. And if I hit Command Z several times, I get back to my original place on modifying and editing this cube. So let's just hit the spacebar again and get out of that. Let me walk you through further modifying this basic geometry. You don't necessarily have to work with all these polygons. You can easily delete one and just click on one of the polygons and activate it and hit the delete button. In order to manipulate your model now, you just activate your editing tools, starting here with the edge tool, and you just double click on the edges to get all of them. And if you hit the Z key, you can extend those into any direction you want to. Again, hitting the R key, which will activate the scale tool, and that will allow me to modify my shape here. And by activating the W key, I can move that. So I can repeat that step several times, hitting the Z key again and moving along here to start my basic model. Then to be more precise, I can activate vertices. If I want to fine tune or be more precise, let me just turn symmetry on again. And by simply activating one, it activates the other. And in this step here, by activating the move tool, it allows me to have ultimately a very high degree of control over my model. One more thing I'd like to talk about before I'm finished here is sub-modeling. It's absolutely imperative that you keep your model as simple as possible, meaning with as little polygons as possible to successfully change your model. And kind of a misperception is that at some point you have to click the D key, which will subdivide the model for you. And if you do that a couple times, then you will end up with a model that is very difficult to modify. But the cool thing about MODO comes with it. And so I just went back, and all you have to really do is hit the tab key, and that will give you a nice smooth object. that you can then modify. I go constantly back and forth between these two ways of viewing a model. One gives me ultimate control and the other one gives me the final result. So this sums up the very basic introduction to 3D modeling in MODO. In the next video, I will walk you through the process of designing one of my chairs. You will learn the use of the amazing P-subs and how edge weights will give you incredible control of the shapes that you are creating. Thanks for watching.